Imagine you're walking through a dense, lush swamp forest during the Carboniferous period, surrounded by fog and the thick air heavy with moisture. The only sounds are those of insects buzzing around you. Suddenly, a low growl rumbles from the underbrush, likely an ancient amphibian or early reptile, and sends shivers down your spine. You need to hear this. One day in the Carboniferous swamp forest was like stepping into a nightmare. No, seriously, trees towered over you as tall as skyscrapers today. And here's what nobody tells you. These weren't just any trees. They were giant club mosses and horsetails that could grow to be 100 feet high, creating an alien world of dense vegetation where early amphibians thrived amidst the lush, oxygen-rich atmosphere. And then, get this, the air was filled with enormous insects capable of feasting on any plant matter in their path. Imagine a dragonfly with a wingspan wider than your arm and a millipede as long as you are tall. That's the reality of life during the Carboniferous period. You're right to feel uneasy because everything around you is massive and extraordinary. Let me tell you, there were creatures lurking beneath the surface of that swamp, things so strange they make today's nightmares look tame. Giant insects patrolled the air, while millipedes and amphibians dominated the forest floor and waterways. First, let's talk about the trees. These weren't just tall, they were colossal. Picture a forest where the leaves on these towering plants could be as big as your face. They towered over you like skyscrapers in a city, blocking out most of the sunlight. Instead of blue sky, you'd barely see anything but dense foliage between their branches and fronds. And then, hold on to something, the roots of these trees were massive too. Picture them digging deep into the ground, spreading wide to anchor these giants against even the strongest winds. Roots could be as thick as your arm, extending for miles beneath the surface, creating intricate underground networks just as complex and interconnected as the ecosystem above. These extensive root systems not only supported towering Carboniferous trees, but also played a crucial role in stabilizing swampy ground and cycling nutrients throughout the dense forest ecosystem. Subject: one day in the Carboniferous swamp forest. Now, let's move on to the insects. Yes, insects the size of birds. You see, back then, oxygen levels in the atmosphere were much higher than they are today, around 35% compared to 21%. This extra oxygen allowed creatures like dragonflies with wingspans over 2 feet long, and millipedes that could be up to 6 feet in length to thrive. These weren't just creepy crawlies, they were apex predators of their ecosystem. Imagine a scene where these giant insects buzz around your head, their wings creating a low hum as loud as a lawnmower engine. They would be swooping down from the dense canopy of the Carboniferous swamp forest, looking for prey such as smaller insects or amphibians. Their powerful jaws were capable of crunching through wood and leaves with ease, showcasing the incredible biomass and biodiversity of this ancient world. And then there's another layer of horror lurking beneath the water. Picture vast swamps filled with murky waters teeming with life and death. You need to know, back then, there were giant amphibians in these swamps, creatures called labyrinthodonts that could grow up to 10 feet long and weigh several hundred pounds. These massive predators ruled the Carboniferous period's waterways, preying on fish and other smaller amphibians. These weren't just your average frogs or salamanders. They had massive heads brimming with teeth designed for tearing flesh apart. Imagine a creature so large it could swallow smaller animals whole, its tail thrashing through the water like a whip. Their eyes were set high on their head to spot any prey moving above them. They would lie in wait, perfectly camouflaged against the muddy bottom, ready to strike at any moment. These ancient amphibians ruled the Carboniferous swamps, thriving in an ecosystem teeming with life and lacking many of the predators that came later. And then, this is where it gets really scary, the swamps themselves were filled with another kind of danger: giant arthropods called eurypterids or sea scorpions. Picture a scorpion as long as your arm but living in water. These creatures could grow up to 2 meters in length and had powerful claws strong enough to crush the exoskeletons of their prey. They would patrol the waters, hunting anything that dared to come too close. Now here's where it gets truly terrifying. These swamps were also home to another group of predators, synapsids. Picture a creature halfway between a lizard and an early mammal, like Dimetrodon. These animals had massive heads with rows of sharp teeth, designed for tearing through flesh. They would roam the forest floor, searching for anything they could overpower and devour. Subject: one day in the Carboniferous swamp forest. You need to hear this. Imagine being surrounded by all these dangers at once: giant insects overhead, labyrinthodont amphibians in the water, and early synapsids stalking you on land. That's what it was like to be alive in a Carboniferous swamp forest. Subject: one day in the Carboniferous swamp forest. And then, this is where everything falls apart. The ecosystem wasn't just about survival, it was incredibly fragile. Imagine these towering lycopsid trees falling over after heavy rain or storms, creating massive log jams and altering water flow patterns overnight. The creatures that depended on specific conditions were suddenly left without food or shelter, disrupting entire ecosystems in a matter of hours. Now, this is where things get really strange. The Carboniferous period wasn't just about giants, it was also a time of incredible change. Picture forests dominated by towering club mosses and horsetails that could grow so tall they blocked out sunlight in lower layers, leading to massive dead zones beneath them. The air was rich with oxygen due to these giant plants absorbing carbon dioxide and storing it as biomass, which would be released back into the atmosphere when they died and became coal deposits over millions of years. And then, this is where it gets really mind-bending. The swamps themselves played a crucial role in forming coal deposits. Imagine layer upon layer of dead plant material building up over millions of years, creating vast underground reserves that would eventually fuel human industry for centuries to come. Now, here's the kicker. Imagine standing there, surrounded by towering lycopsid trees, insects buzzing around your head, and potential predators lurking in every shadow, realizing that these ecosystems were incredibly volatile and constantly changing. The creatures that thrived one day could be gone the next as environmental conditions shifted. So here's what breaks me. Imagine stepping into this world for a single moment, seeing it with your own eyes, and then realizing how quickly it all fades away. That's why I say everything you know about prehistoric life is wrong. It wasn't just about survival. It was also about an endless cycle of creation and transformation. In the Carboniferous swamp forest, towering lycopsids and calamites cast shadows over a bustling ecosystem where insects and amphibians flourished, only to be replaced by the ever-evolving species that followed. But hold that thought, the part that really breaks me is still coming. Imagine standing in the middle of a Carboniferous swamp forest, surrounded by towering lycopsids and giant club mosses, and knowing that this world didn't last forever. It's like stepping into a dream where everything around you can change in an instant, leaving nothing but memories behind. And here's what nobody tells you. Even though it all seems so distant now, the legacy of those swamps is still with us today. Every time you flip on a light switch or drive your car, you're tapping into that ancient world, thanks to the remnants of those giant plants and forests buried deep underground for millions of years. Now, this is where things really hit home. That's why I say everything you know about prehistoric life might need an update. It wasn't just about the giants. It was also about the fleeting nature of their existence. And that, my friend, is what makes this period so fascinating and awe-inspiring. During the Carboniferous period, giant insects and early amphibians thrived in dense swamp forests, creating a world both alien and captivating compared to our modern ecosystems. So here's the thing. Every time you look back at those old fossils and reconstructions, remember that they are merely glimpses into a world teeming with life that has since vanished. Imagine standing in the middle of a Carboniferous swamp forest, surrounded by towering lycopod trees and giant insects, and knowing how quickly everything can change. That's why this period is so haunting. And here's what nobody tells you. Even though these ancient creatures lived long ago, they shaped our planet and still influence us today. Every time you step into a forest or walk along the coast, you're walking in their footsteps, following a path that started millions of years ago but continues to shape our world now. Now here's what breaks me. Imagine standing there, surrounded by all those giants, and realizing how fleeting it all was. That's why I say everything you know about prehistoric life is wrong. It wasn't just about survival. It was also about an endless cycle of creation and destruction that leaves us in awe and fear. In the Carboniferous swamp forests, towering lycopod trees and giant arthropods thrived for millions of years before being overshadowed by the rise of seed ferns and early conifers. And then, this is the gut punch. That legacy continues to this day, shaping our world in ways we never see. So when you think about those giants in the Carboniferous swamp forest, remember that they are more than just ancient creatures. They are a part of who we are today, woven into the very fabric of our existence through the coal and peat deposits formed from their abundance. And here's what really breaks me. Imagine standing there, surrounded by ancient Carboniferous swamp forests teeming with life, and knowing it all eventually fades away. That's why I say much of what you know about prehistoric life is wrong. It was fleeting and fragile, yet still forms the foundation of our modern world. So here's the deal. Every time you think of that Carboniferous swamp forest, remember that it wasn't just a snapshot in time. It was an entire way of living, a cycle of birth and death that we can never fully grasp. And while we often imagine prehistoric life through the lens of dinosaurs, it's crucial to recognize that this era was dominated by plants and insects rather than dinosaurs, which didn't emerge until later periods. So here's what breaks me. Imagine standing there, surrounded by giants, and knowing how quickly it all vanishes. That's the real legacy of the Carboniferous period, the fleeting nature of existence, a truth that still echoes through time and shapes our world today. You need to hear this. The air is thick with moisture, and you can feel every drop as they settle on your skin. Imagine towering trees over 30 feet tall all around you, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. These aren't just any trees. They're lycopsids and giant ferns, precursors to coal that would one day fuel industrial revolutions. Can you picture it? Giant dragonflies with wingspans of 2 feet buzzing past you, their compound eyes scanning for prey. And then there are the amphibians, some as long as a small car today. They move through this lush green world, laying eggs in water and breathing air to survive on land, marking them as early tetrapods bridging aquatic and terrestrial life. Here's what nobody tells you. These swamps were breeding grounds for life, places where species evolved and disappeared faster than you can imagine. Every leaf that falls, every insect that buzzes by, is part of a cycle so vast it's hard to comprehend. This place wasn't static. It was alive, ever-changing, with new forms emerging and old ones vanishing in the blink of an evolutionary eye. And then, listen closely. Everything scientists thought they knew about the Carboniferous period began to shift dramatically as new discoveries emerged. The fossil record we have is just a glimpse, a snapshot. There's so much more beneath the surface waiting to be discovered. Each layer of rock reveals its own story, painting a picture of ancient swamp forests teeming with giant arthropods and early vertebrates that flourished and vanished in an instant. Subject: one day in the Carboniferous swamp forest. This creature was an absolute marvel, yet incredibly fragile. Numerous factors could decimate entire ecosystems, climate shifts, rising sea levels, and volcanic eruptions included. One day they flourished, the next vanished. Get this, those towering trees you're imagining. They didn't just grow up, they fell down too. Their leaves and branches decayed into rich soil that would one day be coal, a fuel source for our modern world. This cycle of life and death is how ancient swamps created the energy reserves we rely on today. So here's the gut punch fact. Every time you flick a light switch or drive your car, you're connecting back to those ancient swamps. They shaped not just the past, but also the present. That's why I say everything you know about prehistoric life is evolving. Our understanding shows how deeply interconnected and influential these ecosystems were, far beyond what we once imagined. Think about that next time you walk through a forest. The legacy of ancient Carboniferous swamps still ripples through our lives today, as the coal formed from their vegetation fuels much of our modern world, shaping every moment in ways both big and small.